So
I was interested in when I came across it for two reasons. One, I've been interested in Bitcoin, crypto, and blockchain
yes,
for since before it was cool, the
well,
2012, 2013,
congratulations.
something like that, and of course now we're you know everything is blockchain, and there's a lot of hype around it, of course. But I'm interested in that industry, but also maybe even more so, really, in sustainable energy.
Yes.
Obviously, most of us know what's going on in the world with
Yes.
fossil fuels, and the more we can have sustainable options. And what I was interested about positive energy is, because I think I believe the thesis, which is that energy producers are going to move into more small-scale operators, right?
Yes.
Because the technologies are going to allow homes, individuals, what have you, to actually produce energy.
Yes.
And then, but of course, you need to be able to get that excess to market. Let's say you're totally self-sufficient and you want to get your excess capacity to market, or you want to try to finance a way to become energy self-sufficient, and then after that, maybe you want to get it to market. And correct me if I'm wrong, but positive energy is kind of all about helping to finance that initial
Yes.
These small to medium-sized operators to get going.
Yeah,
and then there's
exactly.
also an ecosystem that you, I guess, are developing to create markets for selling excess capacity or energy.
So right now we rely on the existing market structure to off-take the energy.
Yeah.
So mainly PPA for with small, mid-size. So we are talking about commercial and industrial buildings, so rooftop on industrial plants. And most of the time this energy will be sold directly to the plants with the first customer. And the excess, or in other cases, rare cases, the energy is directly sold to the grid. There is a lot of discussion about peer-to-peer trading and more innovative business model leveraging blockchain, but they are still very niche. So we really focus on the creation of the assets. People who really want to put a solar rooftop on their plant, factory, commercial building, use it to reduce their energy costs, to have a greener energy, but necessarily don't have millions of dollars to invest in the asset. And so you need somebody who will build it, but you need somebody who will finance it. And the smaller are this asset, the harder it is to get proper finance, especially in emerging market, where I would say the market is not as mature as maybe in the US or in China or in Europe, but there is a much bigger demand for such kind of equipment, because most of the investment and the need for electricity generation is in Asia. China, India, Central Asia.
And so how does your company or the platform actually facilitate the financing? And then also, how does it incorporate blockchain?
So we provide, we help our customer in different stage. The first part, and we help project developer to access a community of investors who are interested by this type of investment. I can imagine if you are a developer in, I don't know, Vietnam or Indonesia or in India, you may have access to the site, the customer, but it's difficult for you to access to the money with the guy with the money and engage with them. So that's the first part what we help. And we help also the investor, because there is a lot of investors now who get a lot of resources to invest there, but they have a hard time to get the project or quickly identify the right project for them. So that's the first time. It's like a intermediation platform and matchmaking. And then the second part is that the due diligence to do such kind of investment is quite long and complex, because you need to check a lot of items. You have anti-money laundering, anti-corruption, and then you have the permitting. You have all the contractual aspect, you have technical, financial, tax, environment. All that needs to be checked before the investor want to spend $1, $2, $5 million. And that requires a lot of back and forth. And if you have a very mature developer, that go quite smooth because they know they are ready. When you work with a lot of this local developer, regional developer, they are maybe less advanced in their process, so they create a lot of issues. So the tool help like a digital workflow, to get this exchange and communication going much faster.
Yeah.
So the way we use blockchain is when you interact with, as an investor, if I interact with a developer locally, maybe I don't have prior relationship with the developer.
Mm-hmm.
So, and maybe I'm not used to do business in this country.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of risk or uncertainty in the investment assessments that can refrain me to invest.
Mm-hmm.
So we use blockchain to reinforce the trust in the process and the trust in the information exchange.
Mm-hmm.
And so every communication document is registered on the blockchain. And even the third parties that will come and audit on behalf of the sellers or the investor, their action and information will be recorded on the blockchain.
Right.
So we want to increase the confidence in both parties in the information exchange.
Yeah.
And then they can just, do their job.
Yeah.
With,
so basically trying to take all that work in between. So let's say you've got a developer, you've got, the person who wants the installation, all this normal work in between, contract and, deal setup and all that kind of, trying to minimize it and also remove the trust so that it can just be facilitated more easily, right?
So there is this statistic I found fascinating about solar energy, and that's why I'm a strongly believer that it will become the first energy of choice. If you look at building a small solar plant or a very big one, you have almost the same cost effectiveness on the hardware part on the small solar farm and a big one. That means you will not get a very bigger discount if you buy for 500 megawatt or 5 megawatt.
Right.
So the effectiveness of the hardware solution is almost the same. But where the cost of the installation increase is what we call the soft cost.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the project management, that's the design, that's the financing cost, all this. And that can represent up to 50% of the project cost.
Wow.
So if you are able to bring that down, then you really have very cost-effective.
Right. And that's what this
that's
platform...
the part we want to address.